Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Welcome to day 3 of my 12 Days of Crafty Christmas series 2024. Today I'm going to be creating a card with the Winterly Treetops stamp set. So we're going to be using this bird image here, which I have already popped onto a block ready to go. I'm also going to be bringing in a leaf stamp from the Regal Flora. And our sentiment today is coming from the Iconic Imagery photopolymer stamp set. So I have already created my card base. So this is basic white, half a sheet of A4, scored at 10.5 centimetres. So I'm going to put that to one side for the moment, and then I'm going to bring in, so I've got a scrap of Whisper White here. And what I haven't done is prepare my cutting plates. Let me just grab those. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing with my piece of Whisper White, I'm going to be die cutting a circle from the Spotlight on Nature dies. So let me just build my sandwich. So my salmon cut and emboss machine is just off to the side of my desk. If I have it on the desk, it is too wobbly, and I don't want to be making anybody seasick. So I'm making my sandwich with the plates 1, 2, 3, then my cardstock, then my die, and then my second plate 3. So just run that through quickly. And then, as if by magic, we have our circle. So I'm going to be stamping our bird. I'm going to stamp in Memento. And I'm going to be watercolouring this image, but using a blender pen rather than a water brush. It's a really nice kind of ease you into watercolouring technique. So there's our bird, and I've got a little bit more white space than I kind of imagined, but I'm going to leave him as he is for now. I'm wondering about maybe adding some of this foliage in above him, but I'm going to leave him as he is for now and see how I feel as the card progresses. So I'm going to pop that to one side to dry off. And I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer and some crumb cake cardstock. So I'm going to cut a mat that is going to be 10 centimetres by 14.35. My standard card mat measurement. That, and then I'm going to do some stamping onto my crumb cake, and I'm going to opt for some tone on tone. So I've got my crumb cake ink pad here and the leaf from Regal Flora, and I am just going, let's bring in my circle a minute, and then I'm going to have my sentiment. Actually, maybe we'll bring our crumb cake leaves onto our little bird. Let's just kind of stamp that a couple of times so it's like he's kind of in the trees. And then I'm going to stamp off and then stamp onto my cardstock, just so that I'm getting a bit of a softer image. And so just going to stamp that a few times, bring my circle back in to see whether I'm happy with that. I think I want another one. Stamp off. I'm going to pop another one there, bring my circle back in. I wanted that to come down a bit further really. So let's do another one off to the side a little bit. I didn't stamp off, so let's do some in full strength. as well. There. And then I feel like I just need one more down here, and then maybe a stamped off one on our circle as well. There we go. Okay, I've left some space at the bottom because that's where I'm going to be putting our sentiment. So just close up my crumb cake ink pad before I put my hand in it. I'm sure I say that every video, but I have put my hand in an ink pad more times than I care to admit when I'm finished with it. Or I'll dip the corner of my cardstock in it. It happens a lot. Okay, so you can kind of see, I'll start to see where I'm going with this. And then we're going to have our watercoloured bird, and then should I stamp the sentiment now? Yeah, let's stamp the sentiment now. So I am, I don't want the memento, I want the real red. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment in real red. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierced matte because my stamp is photopolymer. And I am going to stamp this. So my sentiment is going to be celebrate the season. I'm going to stamp the season first. And I'm going to pop that right down in the bottom corner. Like that. And then my celebrate, let's get that nice and inky. I'm going to put on a little bit of a diagonal, like that. Okay, now let's colour our bird. So move that out of the way for the minute, just making sure that my hands aren't super inky. Okay, so I've grabbed out a, oh that's not sharp, let's grab, here's another one I prepared earlier. So I've just pulled out some of my watercolour pencils, and yeah, I'm just going to kind of go for it. So for my berries, I'm going to start with Melon Mumbo, and I'm just going to colour kind of all the way over them, and then I'm going to bring in my cherry cobbler in a second to add some shading. So I'm just going to kind of add a little bit of the cherry cobbler over the top of the Melon Mumbo, but I'm avoiding that kind of light section. Then for my bird's beak, I'm going to use some pumpkin pie. It might be a little bit too orange, so I might add a little bit of crushed curry over the top just to kind of make it a little bit less obvious. We're going to use the crushed curry for his little legs. It's only a tiny bit, but it will make a difference. If I've coloured over a little bit, it's not going to matter because I'm going to be doing my branch in largely early espresso, but I'm going to go kind of quite light-handed, and I'm going to add in a couple of different browns as well. So some early espresso, and then some Cajun craze in there as well. And I'm not being too precise because I want it to look like a branch. And then I'm adding in a little bit of pecan pie kind of just along the bottom there. And then for our, I'm going to use the pecan pie just for those tiny bits of branch with the berries. And I'm not going to blend those. That branch is too teeny tiny. And then for our little bird, I'm thinking kind of along the lines of sort of a robin. So I'm going to go with some Melon melon mumbo, and then I'm going to come in with some cherry cobbler over the top. It just gives me a bit more of a kind of pinky red. And then, yeah, a bit of cherry cobbler over the top. Again, I'm not being super precise. It doesn't really matter. And then our bird, I'm going to colour largely in the Cajun Craze, and then I will bring in some basic grey as well. And then I have got some white that I can add in over the top in areas if I want to. So he's kind of loosely coloured. Just going to add a bit of that basic grey over his wing and those kind of shadowy bits, adding in a little bit of depth kind of around his beak. There we go. So not super precise, it's really easy way of watercolouring, and then I'm just going to go over the top with my blender pen, and you just see it transform. I'm just kind of blending that edge together. Like so. And I love doing this, it feels like magic. And then I'll branch down at the bottom, so I'm not worrying about kind of his legs and his feet really, I'm just sort of going around them. And it doesn't matter if you kind of bring that colour out a little bit beyond the stamped image. There we go, so there's our little robin. Not terribly accurate, I know. If you wanted to add a little bit more definition or a little bit more kind of depth of colour, you can always come back in with your watercolour pencil over the top. Like so. So now we can start to think about putting our card together. That does look very pink. I'm just going to add some more cherry cobbler over the top. I think I've put down a bit too much of the melon mumbo. And then I'm going to add some grey in there as well, just to kind of make it a little bit more muted. And then I don't want to add too much more of my blender pen because I'm just using normal cardstock. I'm not using watercolour, so I don't want to add too much wet to it. But I think he's quite cute. So now we can put our card together. Really quick and simple, but I think really effective. Oh, I'll grab them actually. I was thinking that this could be quite a nice project if you've got the new watercolour kit. Well, I say new, it's the one that came out in November. I can't think what it's called. But it's the kit that comes with watercolour pencils, and a watercolour brush. I'm just popping my little circle up on dimension. Actually, I think I need some ribbon. Let me grab. I've got this cherry cobbler, because that real red on the crumb cake I think looks more like cherry cobbler than real red. So let's add, I've taken the backs off my dimensionals now. Do we add kind of a little wiggle? Whoop. something along those lines. Or do we add a bow in front? I think it needs something behind. Okay, let's just cut a length of ribbon and roll with it. I could do with some glue dots. I haven't got any on. Oh, I have got some on hand. So let's pop a glue dot behind that end and just going to stick it down. We're just literally just going to go for it, because sometimes that's just what you have to do. Sometimes you just have to go, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to roll with it and see what happens. What's the worst that's going to happen? So now I'm happy with that kind of placement. Just going to try and grab a glue dot and pop that kind of last fold down. And then if you had some tear and tape, now would be a really good time to just pop a little piece of tear and tape over the top. My tear and tape is not on hand. So I feel like I should have done the circle not in Whisper White, but never mind. Let's go for it. Just pop him down and then trim off the excess ribbon. And I'm going to pop a little glue dot underneath that end as well, just to keep it secure. So just grab a glue dot off there. Oops. There we go. There. And then I think, just to finish it off, I am going to bring back in my crumb cake and my leaf and just do a couple of leaves in the corner like that. There we have it. Let's close that up. So that is our card for day 3. So I just thought it was nice to bring in the watercolour pencils. I feel like they don't get as much credit as they deserve, I think. And with the blender pen, you know, you don't need to be a watercolour artist to be able to create something that looks really pretty. Yeah, if I can do it, anyone can. Thank you so much for joining me. I do hope that you will go back and watch days 1 and 2 if you haven't already. And I hope that you will join me tomorrow for day 4. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye.